What's going on, everyone? It's Justin here, and welcome to another Cool Tech episode where we take a look at some of the cutting edge technology that has showed up at the office in the past couple months, whether it is in home, consumer tech, smartphones, in production, and just like in the general world of technology, anything that I think is cool or unique or just like something that is really going to drive the future is stuff that I want to show you in this series in kind of like a summarized form. As always, if you guys would like to win an item from this video, just go ahead and drop a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and also leave a comment down below with your Instagram username and follow me over on Instagram, and I'll be announcing a winner when this video hits 2,000 likes. I have also been catching up on announcing the giveaway winners on the past videos, so if you guys want to see who won, just go ahead and check those videos, and I always pin the comment and also reply to it, and then we message the winner directly on Instagram for shipping info. So in today's Cool Tech, we have a really nice blend of products from all different categories. This right here is a pretty crazy looking triphonic speaker that I saw online and just had to go ahead and take a look. And on top of that, we also have an insane 4K laser TV that also looks great in the daytime, which is something that not a lot of laser TVs are able to do. And also from Dyson, like a very compact version of their vacuum, which is the Dyson OmniGlide. And with handheld vacuums being so popular for smaller spaces or even just for like cleaning your car, this is a great product too. And probably the thing that I'm most excited outside of home tech at the moment is in sport tech as well. And that is something that we're integrating in this series for the very first time with our partnership with TaylorMade, where they actually gave me the full fitting experience for their new P790 set of irons, where I got to go to the University Golf Center in Vancouver and go through all of the different shafts and options that they have, in which they made the perfect set. So we're going to take a look at that entire process and the end result. But without further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed this Cool Tech episode, and let's just get started with the first product. So I think perhaps the most unique product that has showed up recently is this triphonic speaker right here. It is called the SingCell Alpha, and I saw it online and just had to go ahead and check it out because beyond the looks, it has a ton of technology that is in this ball. I don't know how to describe the way it looks. It sort of is something that you see at like the Science Museum where they have like the electricity ball or just like a crazy like robot. It just looks like something of the future. And essentially what a triphonic speaker setup is that it has 3 speakers, but each one also has a mid-range and a tweeter. And there is also 2 6-inch woofers, which give you an insane amount of bass. And as the speaker is on, you'll see that this whole thing just kind of vibrates and goes along with it. And it just has like plenty of like amplification to the room, and you can also pair multiple units. Not only can you see like through the acrylic ball and all the technology, the board, and all the little elements of audio behind it, but the reason why it's shaped like this is actually to give you the best sound experience possible, just because it has this beam forming technology and also room mapping technology where you actually are able to calibrate it very easily with just the press of a button, and depending on where you place it, it will actually send some beams and it will actually send that signal back from like the surfaces or the walls and optimize to tune that sound effectively. It uses Wi-Fi and you can control everything from the app, and I find it overall like very intuitive and fun, but at the price point of $1,800, it is definitely something where you kind of have to want it for the design, but the sound quality definitely does deliver as well, and they do recommend in some cases that you have more than one and you have them work in conjunction. So another product that I've also been really excited to check out since its announcement is the Microsoft Surface Laptop Studio. And even though I don't use a Windows computer by day, I've always been really impressed by Microsoft's hardware, and I really wanted to check out the stuff. Whether it was like the Surface Book back in the day, the Surface Laptop, or the Surface Studio Desktop, they were all very, very well built and just looked absolutely beautiful. And this computer right here is no exception, even though it does look kind of like a MacBook. It has like the great aluminum finish that you do expect out of Microsoft, but this right here actually has some pretty cool ergonomics that make it very multi-purpose while also giving you a decent level of power. So this right here is a 14.4-inch Pixel Sense display with a 120 Hz refresh rate, which is really good for any like pen work or also just like scrolling through the menus with the touchscreen. And what I really like about this is that even though this does seem a little bit scary that it's like just hanging on a very thin hinge, you can actually use it as like just like a nice multimedia stand, or you can also actually fold it all the way down to use like a tablet. But on top of that, it still serves as a laptop. Personally, I'm a pretty big fan of the iPad Magic Keyboard, and the fact that like the iPad is able to sit at a comfortable position on like a swiveling hinge, but at the same time, the iPad still does like fall off occasionally. So for them to like engineer something like this, where it is fully built in while still feeling very solid and not like flimsy in any way, despite it seeming like it could be, I feel like just from like the hardware perspective, this is super cool. It is nice that it has 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports, but I would have liked to have at least seen like 3 or 4, but I do understand that like the demographic that is going to be buying this computer is not exactly the kind that's going to be plugging in 4 different things to the computer at once. When it comes to power though, this is definitely no slouch. It has the Intel i7 11th gen processor, and it also has 512 gigs of storage and 16 gigs of RAM. That is just a configuration that I have. And it also has the NVIDIA GeForce RTX GPU, but to be totally honest, this is definitely like a great productivity machine. But if you're looking to do like specific video editing, then you should definitely look into maybe switching to a MacBook M1. So perhaps the newest addition to our office and set is the Ergonoffice Alive Desk. And if you've been watching like the whole renovation and setup of this office space, you might know that everybody's workspace upstairs is the Ergonoffice Sway Desk, which is the walnut finish. And they look absolutely incredible. They're standing desks. They also have a great set of accessories. So we have the cable management set and also the neat filing cabinet. So everybody's workspace upstairs is the same, paired with like a Herman Miller chair. So to be honest, it is probably the best type of desk setup that I could provide for this company. But the Alive Desk, hence its name, is a live edge version of their standing desk, and it is actually all handcrafted in Canada, just like all of their desktops, which is really cool. They're all made in Montreal, and so the craftsmanship of the material and the selection, the wood and everything just looks absolutely incredible. And the cool part about like the Alive Desk is that every single one is very different. To be totally honest, I used to really dislike the kind of live edge look, but over the past few years especially, it has really grown on me, and I think this looks insane. It just has like a very nice character to it, but on the top, it is still like very smooth and durable, so you can have like your computer and workspace, but in my case, this is a video filming set, and of course, this is also a standing desk, so just go ahead and press the button, and it will rise and lower right away. The legs are also very durable. They come in white and black finish, and you can also get accessories such as cable management, power, which I have on that side, and also a drawer that I have right here with just like some general video tools and some water, because this is where I plan to film a lot more videos. I just can't even describe over the camera how good the solid wood top looks, and it comes in both a maple and a walnut color depending on your preference. But yeah, just like kind of looking at the knots, the finishes, the graining, and like the color variances of the different sides of maple, it just looks insane. And it comes in 3 different sizes, and in this case I have the 30 by 60. Just a little bit of a hint for the holiday season though, I am teaming up with Ergonoffice in December to give away one of the walnut sway desks to one of you guys. So if you're excited, make sure you have post notifications on so you can check out that video right away, and also drop a like if you're excited. So being in the tech industry for so long, a lot of times the stuff that we check out is very similar. It's a ton of phones, laptops, earbuds, cameras, and these are all like very popular consumer areas, and we review a lot of products within that, which obviously is part of the job. But what really brings me excitement is when we get a branch out of those categories, whether it is into electric cars or into something like sport. As someone who absolutely loves sports outside of work, such as hockey, golf, Formula One, something something that can be attributed to pretty much every sport is technology. All these companies out there are always constantly engineering their products, finding new technologies to make it lighter, more accurate, all with like the end goal of just getting the best performance out of the given user possible and kind of combining talent with the actual product and just eliminating all variables for the actual user. Obviously, I'm not a professional golfer by any stretch, but over the summer and after I quit playing hockey, it's been a really good way to like socialize and also get out of the house once in a while, and I'm definitely still working on my game. But something we're gonna do a few months ago was really cool, and that was actually go to TaylorMade's fitting center at UBC's University Golf Center in Vancouver to actually go through the entire fitting process of the entire iron set, the woods, the driver, and also take a look at some of their new MG3 wedges as well. The core focus of the fitting though was TaylorMade's brand new irons, the P790s for 2021, and these have a lot of different features that only give you great distance and great control, but paired with the fitting process, they were able to literally analyze every aspect of the shot, the spin, the swing speed, the direction, and kind of give comparative data between the different shaft options, lengths, and also stiffness options to just figure out what was the most comfortable, but also led to the best performance and accurate shot. The P790's big feature is the Speed Foam Air, and I got to take a look at the actual foam and how it's integrated within the actual construction of the irons. And this just gives you increased face flexibility and fast ball speeds while also giving you a premium sound and feel. This year's Speed Foam Air is 69% lighter than its predecessor, allowing for the thinnest P790 face ever. It has like a really nice unified forged L-face construction with the redesigned tungsten weighting, and the new generation of P790s really do give a good level of forgiveness as well, which is especially important for a player like myself who is kind of getting back into golf and generally speaking is able to have like a decent game on some days, but by no means is like an advanced player. The set that I had before this was actually a kid set, so I've just been borrowing clubs for the past couple months, and being able to have a set that is fully customized and just getting used to it was really nice. And just like the amount of control, the straightness in the shot is just really exciting to see how the actual custom fitting process and the new technology of the P790 all comes together in the end product right here. Beyond that, I also have some of the Sim 2 items here, and the Rescue is honestly one of my favorite clubs. I hadn't actually used one before, but I was actually surprised looking at the data just how good of a control I was able to get with that, even though at first I was kind of not really sure how I'd perform with it. But there's also the Sim 2 Max D driver. They have the Sim 2, they have the Sim 2 Max, and then they also have the Sim 2 Max D, which essentially stands for max draw, which is kind of what I need because even though I'm able to get like a decent amount of distance with the driver, I always seem to shoot off into the right side, and I've been trying to control it, but with the Max D and the large face, it is actually really well suited for what I needed. I'm just honestly really grateful that TaylorMade gave us a chance to check this out. I'd been looking forward to that fitting for many months, and it was super fun, and the end result is awesome. So I'm gonna leave a link down below if you guys wanna check out their new P790 lineup, but we're actually also teaming up with TaylorMade over on my Instagram to give away a set of their brand new MG3 wedges to you guys as well. So the next piece of tech that we're taking a look at is in like the business and meeting space. And in the last couple of years especially, people have shifted over to like virtual work, and a lot of corporations have still not returned to offices. But in general, to be honest, if you're in like an industry like mine, meetings have always been virtual because the companies that we're working with are all over the world. And especially if you have a team, it is always kind of a hassle to make sure everybody is like engaged in the conversation. So right here in front of me, I have the Candel Meeting Pro and the Meeting S. I want to give a huge thanks to Candel for sponsoring this video. These are all-in-one meeting tools with a camera built in, microphone, software on its own, and is essentially able to give you like a plug-and-play experience to conduct all of your important meetings and more effectively, especially with a large team. Beginning with their flagship product, this right here is the Candel Meeting Pro, and it actually has a 360-degree view with a 180-degree camera on each side, and it's able to stream in both 1080p and 720, depending on your connection. And what's great about this is that especially if you're sitting in like a large round table in like a conference room, instead of everybody like staring at the camera that's at the front of the room and trying to get everybody in frame, including the people who are in the back of the boardroom, this just sits right in the middle of the room, and because of its 360-degree view. It is not only able to capture everybody sitting at the table, but at the same time, it's also able to utilize AI and actually separate each person into their own box, just so you feel like everybody is engaged in the conversation when there's multiple people in the meeting. In terms of the video quality itself, considering it has that 360-degree view, it is actually very good. And I also found that the AI and everything and able to like find faces and stuff also worked quite well, which is like the first and most important priority. But on the audio side, this has omnidirectional microphones that are able to pick up to 5 meters away, and there's also a hi-fi speaker. So not only is everybody able to speak and be picked up by the microphone no matter where you are in the table, anywhere around it within that 5-meter radius, but you're also able to hear the other party loud and clear. I think the other great thing though is the fact that it has Android built in that supports all the major meeting platforms. So you actually don't have to even have your computer with you or nearby. You can just connect this to an HDMI monitor, utilize a Bluetooth remote, and control everything from there. I think that feature is very important because if you have like important meetings to conduct in many places and you don't want to have to like set it up all the time, you can just go ahead and plug it in via HDMI anywhere, and with that built-in software and support, you're able to just have this all-in-one meeting tool with you. It also has a LAN port for a more reliable connectivity if that is available to you, and it does also have a micro SD card slot because if you wanted to record the meeting, for example, it can do that all within this unit. The Meeting S, on the other hand, has a 180-degree field of view at a 1080p full HD resolution, and it has a lot of the same great features of the Meeting Pro and what they have in the meeting lineup in general, including the software once again built in with the Android experience. So you have that standalone experience, so you don't have to connect it to the computer every single time. You can direct your meeting directly from this unit alone connected to a display. The sound is able to pick up in a 5-meter radius as well through the 8 microphones and all the same great optimization technologies throughout the lineup. It also has 64 gigabytes of built-in memory as well as 4 gigs of RAM and the option to expand with micro SD as well. So generally speaking, to be honest, this is like a really handy tool, especially if you're like trying to host like maybe a podcast or something, or also conducting business meetings, because to be honest, a lot of times I'm too lazy to set up the camera and all that kind of stuff, and I end up just doing my calls without the camera and through the microphone on my smartphone, and I see the other party always has the camera on and realize that it could be a lot more engaging if we as a team had it as well. If you do want to connect it to your computer though, you still have the option to do so by the USB cable, and that is still like a nice option to have because sometimes all of your stuff is already ready to go on your work machine. So if you guys want to go ahead and check out the Candow Meeting S and Meeting Pro for yourself, I'm going to go ahead and drop a link down below, and a huge thanks to them once again for sponsoring this video. So when it comes to home products that we cover on the channel, one of the recent ones that I checked out was a new Dyson V15 Detect vacuum that has a laser, and that is like their new flagship in the lineup and what Dyson is best known for in their cordless vacuums. But one product that came out recently that I actually really like and do plan to use quite often is the Dyson OmniGlide. This is like the smallest and most compact version of their cordless handheld vacuum, and not only is it good for like smaller spaces because not everyone is able to fit or need like the full-size V15 or like a V11, but this right here is just like a very small version of that, but you do have to keep in mind that it does have some limitations due to its size, being the runtime of about 20 minutes, which I think for any like small room or a few rooms or like a small condo should be perfectly fine. But I also think this is really handy for stuff like vacuuming the car and getting into like smaller spaces because this is just like very easy to move around. It has 2 brush heads with this option right here, and there's also the different attachments that are able to get into like the small crevices. But in general, it is just super compact and can fit into all the tight spaces. And to control it, you do have the power button right here. And you also do have a max button. Generally speaking, it is really simple in its operation. There isn't like a screen or anything, but I think for anybody who is looking for a Dyson vacuum technology in a more compact space, the OmniGlide is definitely something that is worth checking out. It does come with like a nice wall mount, so you can just go ahead and put it in the closet, stow it away, and hide it without taking too much of your storage room. But at the same time, you can also easily pop out the battery and replace it within seconds. This right here is the brand new M1 MacBook Pro. I have it in the 16-inch model, and I'm still waiting on the 14-inch, but to be totally honest with you, whether you're a Windows user or a Mac user, I feel like at some point you do have to set your biases aside, and I personally do have them as well. And just Trust me on this, the power that this computer is able to deliver when it comes to like video editing and that optimized mobile experience is unparalleled. Even though I am an Apple user, I've been very critical of their MacBooks over these past like 5 years because honestly, until the M1 ones came out, there was always a ton of problems, whether it was like the power, the keyboard, but in general, I think especially in the last year or so, Apple has really listened to customers, and this MacBook Pro is kind of like that model that a lot of like creative professionals have been waiting for. It does have a bit of a fatter design and it has like all of your ports that you've been wanting back, and it may not look the most appealing in just this form right here, but as soon as you open it up and see that like great XDR display, the 1000 nit brightness and the colors that it's able to produce, and all the power, of course, I just like can't say enough good things about just how this computer is able to perform. Even with just the M1 Pro processor, the fact that this computer is able to run and actually beat out my $20,000 Mac Pro in Final Cut Pro 10 and DaVinci Resolve, as well as being able to run for a decent amount of time on battery power with uncompromised experience and the fans still staying silent for the majority of it, it's just absolutely impressive, and it just makes me very excited for the future of like native silicon, because we've seen how well it's done for Apple, but also for companies like Google and their transition to their own Tensor chips. I think if there's anything that we all know about the technology future, it's the fact that software and optimization is going to drive it, as opposed to always pumping the craziest specs into like the CPU, the GPU, the RAM, and all that kind of stuff. It is really, at the end of the day, how your software interacts with the hardware and just how efficient everything is able to run together. So another piece of tech that just came out very recently and I've added to my workflow, which doesn't actually change that often, is a Logitech MX Keys Mini. And they've actually already had like a set of keyboards that were pretty good for quite a few years now, including the MX Keys and the MX Craft. But this right here is like the small, like 60% version that I've been waiting for quite a while, because to be honest, I do not use the number key at all, and I would rather not have it, just to make my desk like a little bit emptier, because right now it is just way too messy. So I've recently switched over to this. I have the gray one over here. This one right here is the white one. And to be honest, it isn't like the flashiest keyboard, doesn't have like any crazy mechanics, but it's just really good on the productivity side, where the keys feel nice. There's also like a nice like rounded inlay on each one, so your fingers just feel natural when they're typing, and at the same time the spacing is comfortable. And what I like most about it is like the small things that I feel like are missing from Apple's keyboard. The first one is the fact that it charges via USB Type-C. Because I have USB-C at my desk all the time for like accessories and also for the mouse, it's a lot easier to connect to that than having to grab like my iPhone charger in another room to charge a peripheral. But beyond that, on the functionality side, I like that it is on like a hinged angle that is more comfortable than the one on the Apple keyboard. And most importantly, these keys are backlit, so they sense your fingers as soon as you place them over, and it'll turn on the backlit. You can control the brightness of that. It does hurt the battery life a little bit, but it's just really nice as someone who edits at night to have the option to be able to see my keys a lot easier, and during the daytime it just stays off. So yeah, I feel like this is like a really good keyboard for anyone who's looking for a productivity one to go with the MX Master 3 mouse, which in my opinion is also hands down the best productivity mouse. So as you guys probably noticed, I haven't really spent much time reviewing smartphones, especially in the past year. I know there's been some exciting models such as like the Z Flip or the Samsung Galaxy Fold, which I still don't have yet, but aside from like the iPhone and the Google Pixel, these are pretty much the only phones that I've spent the time like taking a look at. And honestly, the Google Pixel is a phone that I believe has one that Google has worked on for quite a while and has actually done a really good job in. A lot of these manufacturers nowadays are launching so many models each year. I feel like there's like a ton of Samsung phones, OnePlus phones, and over in Asia, there's a ton of models that are just constantly coming out, and it seems like the release cycle has almost kind of changed. Google, on the other hand, is really focused on software over the past couple of years, but this year we did see a pretty significant hardware update, which includes Google's very own Tensor chip, which focuses on like machine learning and AI of the future. And Google has always been very focused on optimization, as you've seen in their camera technology and their general Android software, but the hardware of the camera is also very, very good. This camera right here is able to go over 100 megapixels on the main side, but on top of that, all the way down to the telephoto camera, it is a 4x optical zoom with the periscope setup, which is probably my favorite piece of new camera technology to come out in the past couple of years. And this camera is pretty much one of the best on the market. I did do a full review on this, so if you guys want to watch that, I'm going to leave a link down below. But generally speaking, this Google Pixel 6 Pro, for anyone who is looking to get an Android device, and if I was to go to Android, is probably my favorite option right now. So the next product right here is in a category that I've explored a lot of lately, and that is short throw laser TVs. And whether it is like a budget model or like a model that can project a very large image or like a traditional projector, these are all things that I have a huge fascination for because it is able to give you a super large image that you aren't able to get on a TV, and the image quality has been getting better and better year after year. This right here is the BenQ 7050 model, and it's able to project at a 4K resolution, and behind me is a 100-inch image. And something that is very common within like laser TVs is the fact that they're not traditionally known to be good during the daytime when it is like bright out, and it's more so to enjoy in the evening to get that true experience. But this has an ANSI lumen rating of 2500, and with the CLR display that I have set up here, you can see that this laser TV looks really, really good even in the daytime. And to be honest, it is only about 9 inches away from the wall, and it's able to project that 100-inch size, which for this type of wall is like probably the maximum that I'd want to go. But beyond that, the actual image quality has a 98% DCI-P3 color gamut. It also has HDR support, and just like looking at the image itself, it is very sharp. It's clear, the colors are great, and it just does a very good job of representing the movie or the video the way that it's supposed to be. What is also nice in terms of the setup process is that there are actually rods on the back, and depending on the size of screen that you have or image that you want to project, it will give you that perfect distance from the wall, and from there you can kind of fine tune the legs. And as you can see, I have it on a bit of an angle here because my floor is not completely even. Once it is all set up, it's good to go. You set up the alignment, and it gives you like the best short throw laser experience possible. In terms of the inputs on the back, you have a few HDMI ports, some USB, there's also a port that you plug in the streaming stick that it also includes, and there is also HDMI eARC for the audio return channel to get you the best external audio experience possible if you do have everything set up. In my case right here, I just have the projector standalone, and the 5-watt speakers that are built in are decent enough. But in terms of the actual like setup for the streaming system, I actually like the way that BenQ has sorted it out. It uses like a separate streaming stick that is included, and it's Android TV based, so you have access to the Google Play Store, all the specific settings, and also being able to stream via Chromecast and Apple TV is all really, really important. It comes with a remote for the laser TV itself, as well as a streaming stick, which is nice. But yeah, in terms of the setup that I have, and with any laser TV, I just like the fact that it is very standalone. And one really nice touch is the fact that it has a motorized cover that opens up when you're turning the projector on, and once it's off, it will actually close that as well, just to keep all the dust out of the lens, because usually dust settles easily on like flat surfaces, and with a laser TV, the actual like lens and everything is pretty exposed to dust. So I think it's pretty well thought out that they've done that. Laser TVs are becoming increasingly popular, and there's just so many good options out there at different price points. And I would say this right here sits around like the mid price point that is still very attainable for a lot of consumers. So if you're looking for a great option that actually still looks really solid in the daytime, then the BenQ 7050 is one that I've actually really enjoyed. But that pretty much wraps it up for this Cool Tech episode, and it was a lot. There are so many things that have arrived in the last couple of months, and in fact, even though this video was very long, this is only half of it. I've got another video that has a mixture of cool tech, home tech, like sport tech, literally like everything across the board. And I'm really excited, just as a hint, to get back on the ice again, because we're checking out Bauer's brand new hockey equipment. And as someone who still absolutely loves hockey, but was even more obsessed with it growing up, that is kind of like a dream come true. So I'm really excited that we're able to integrate areas of technology that are not traditionally associated with consumer tech. As always, if you guys enjoyed it, make sure to go ahead and drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all in the next one.